Hey, it's Mr. P. Helps back here with Unit 4, Topic 3, Lesson number 7. This is on Pythagorean Theorem. And we're going to start off with a review of exponents, which we have done in the past. Number 1, 7 squared is 49. Squared literally means times itself. 1 and 2/10 to the second power is 1 and 44 hundredths. Square root of 6 squared is 6 because the square root of anything squared is itself. Because literally when you square something, you times it by itself. That's like the opposite of the square root. The square root of 81 is both positive and negative 9. And the square root of 225 is both positive and negative 15. Square root of 152. Now this is both positive and negative. Now notice that in this case 12 squared is 144 and 13 squared is 169. So it's got to be between 12 and 13. I don't remember what exactly this is. It's 12 point something. Is it closer to 144 than 169? I think it's closer to 144. So I'm going to say about 12.3. Give or take. I don't have a calculator in front of me, so it's something close to that. All right, so we're going to do Pythagorean Theorem today. The longest side of a right triangle is called the hypotenuse. And the two sides that make up that are called the legs. So in this diagram, there's the hypotenuse and there's the two legs. Now, this would be a 3 by 3 square, so that's 9 square units. And this would be a 4 by 4 square, so that's 16 square units. And this is a 5 by 5, so that's 25 square units. What you will notice is that 9 plus 16 equals 25. So that's really like 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. So what you'll notice here is that this square plus this square equals this square. And that's not a coincidence. That there is a very good reason why. In this case, 8 squared plus 15 squared should equal 17 squared. So 64 plus 225 does equal 289. Add these together, you get 289, and 289 does equal 289. 17 squared is 289. Write a statement relating these two sides and show that your statement is correct. So 6 squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared. 36 plus 64 equals 100. Well, 36 plus 64 is 100. So what you'll notice is that this does work. It works with Pythagorean's theorem. Now, what is Pythagorean's theorem? When you relate this, you call the legs A and B, and you call the hypotenuse C. Then A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So when you're noticing in this diagram, so anytime you square this side and you square this side, these two are always going to be equal to each other. Now there is a little caveat to that, and we'll talk about that when we get down to question 10 through 12. Question number 9, we're actually going to solve it. So we know there's an inscribed square inside of another square. And you'll notice that there's 4 congruent triangles. Now, each triangle has 2 legs, 9 and 12. So 9 squared plus 12 squared. Now, keep in mind, it doesn't matter which leg is A and which leg is B. Does not matter. Equals S squared, because S is the hypotenuse. 9 squared is 81. 12 squared is 144. And that is equal S squared. Combine those two like terms, and you get 225. Now, if you're trying to find S, you're going to have to do the square root of S squared. Square root of anything squared is itself, so that's just S. Square root of 225 is both positive and negative 15. Now, when you're thinking about distance, you cannot have a negative answer. So really, there is only one answer here, and that is S is 15. Each of the sides of these inscribed square must be 15. Now, question 10, 11, and 12. Now, I told you before that Pythagorean theorem doesn't always work, and we're going to prove that it doesn't work on these. I know this is the hypotenuse because it's the longest side. Well, I'm going to call it the hypotenuse at least. So I'm going to say 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 6 squared. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 6 squared is 36. But you'll notice 9 plus 16 isn't 36. It's actually 25. Same thing goes with this equilateral triangle. 5 squared plus 5 squared does not equal 5 squared. 25 plus 25 is 50, not 25. And it doesn't work for this one either. Now, you'll notice it doesn't work for any of these triangles, but it worked for all the other triangles. Now, the reason being is because every other triangle we did, you probably noticed was a right triangle. So Pythagorean's theorem only works if it's a right triangle. It can't be an equilateral triangle. It can't be this obtuse triangle. It can't be an acute triangle. It has to be a right triangle. Now, let's say we were given the measurements. Let's say that one side was 3, one side was 4, and one side was 5. Is that a right triangle? Well, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25. 9 plus 16 does equal 25, so I'll circle it. That is a right triangle. 225 plus 400 equals 625. That is a true statement, so 15, 20, 25 is a right triangle. 20 squared is 400, 30 squared is 900, and 40 squared is 1600. 900 plus 400 is 1300, not 1600, so this is not a right triangle. 25 plus 144 equals 169. Let's see, that I believe is true. Yes, it is, so I'll circle that. 64 plus 144 equals 225. That does not look to be true because that looks to be an 8. That looks to be 10, 1, 208. So that is not a right triangle. 144, ooh, I'm going to need to pull out my calculator. Plus 24, well, 24 squared, I do not know. All right, here we go as I stall. 24 times itself is 576. And 26 squared, reset, 26 times 26 is 676. All right, so that can't be true because 6 plus 4 makes 10, and it can't end with a 6. All right, 81 plus 144 equals 225. That could be true. That's 5. That's 12. Yep, that is a right triangle. 24 squared is 576. I did that earlier. Plus 900 equals 34 times itself. Did I do 34? No, I did not. 34 times 34 is 1,156. Combine those two like terms. Let's see. 6, correct. 7, nope. 9 plus 5 makes 14. No, that is not a right triangle. 81 plus 40 would be 1,600 equals, let's see, 41, reset. 41 times 41 is 1,681. And that is true. That is a right triangle. So it looks like just these 4 so far. 21 times 21 is 441. Plus 28 times 28, 784, equals 35 squared, 1,225. That looks to be a match. That is a right triangle. 14 squared is 196. I should have known that one. 48 times itself. Getting close to the end here. 48 times 48, 2,304. Equals 50 squared is, what is that, 2,500? All right, so do these add up to? Yes. Carry the 1, yes. Yes, that is a right triangle. 30 squared is 900. I don't need a calculator for this one. 1,600 equals 2,500. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that does prove to be true. All right, thanks again for watching. Please give it a like if it helped you learn anything about Pythagorean's Theorem and how it works and why it works and what it's all about. And don't subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate you watching all the way to the end.